Will AI take your job? That's what I've been thinking about a fair bit lately. It's a bit challenging because these are some unknown waters. So you see a lot of headlines lately with CEOs from Amazon, Salesforce, and Meta, all basically saying that they're going to curb hiring of developers going into 2025, as well as well into the future, and likely actually cull developers as well too. Meta even going so far as to say that their AI actually emulates mid-level engineers at this particular point. And so I see a lot of optimists saying that AI won't replace people, but people using AI will. And while I like to think that's true, there's a real poignant question that I'm exploring for my upcoming book. And that question is, can I convince a CEO who is driven by shareholder satisfaction not to fire people and replace them with AI when all of the financial metrics indicate, short term at least, that it's okay. It's actually good to do that. And Wall Street rewards these publicly traded companies for culling mass numbers of staff. Well, what's the economic fallout for that? I think it takes a ballsy CEO to say no to short-term gains. And let's kind of look at some of these points that are headwinds against optimists who are focused on humanizing the AI human interaction loop. We have market realities. The bottom line is that CEOs are rewarded for cost cutting and to keep things profitable. The AI hype cycle is definitely pushing us in a direction where if you're not at the forefront, especially with these leading companies, then you're seen as being behind. And so there's immense pressure for those that look to these tech leaders for guidance. There's also short-term incentives, and we see this a lot with corporate stock buybacks and various compensation packages really geared and tied towards the share price performance. We have shareholder expectations, especially with the advent of an increase in institutional investors, activist investors that are really pushing for more immediate returns. And then we've got competitive pressures from the marketplace, again, going back to you have to keep up or you're really out. And in this case, you see what are perceived as being market-leading companies, market-creating companies like Meta, Amazon, and others that are really setting the stage that many other executives look to take tone from and see how they might proceed. And so, whereas last year it was not considered pliable to fire people and use the messaging around reducing staff in AI, this year it was predicted and has come to pass that AI, in fact, is something here to take jobs. And it's not without merit because there is a lot of waste and contention. And then finally, there's this shell game that everybody seems to have to play, where you have to present a narrative that satisfies shareholders and potentially pursuing different strategies behind the scenes. And this is a delicate balance that executives are very good. They're there for a reason. They're very good at what they do. And so I take nothing away from them in the fact that their charter and their compensation structure is geared towards optimizing performance. The question becomes whether they're a built to last company or not. And some will argue that Meta and Amazon are companies that are built to last and Salesforce is built to last. But I would argue that data points to something a little bit different. And these companies being as new as they are, they can rise and fall on the tides like any other, even more so now than it ever has in the past. That rapid turnover of the rise and the fall of being a Goliath and then disappearing into the night over the course of several decades is very, very possible. So I would argue that there is a place for a sustainability talk. And I'm not talking about environmental sustainability as much as I am corporate sustainability in this case. But it's a real question. Do CEOs, chief executives, those that lead companies that are responsible to shareholders, have any incentive at all really to prevent really just mass replacing AI once AI is technically fit to replace people? It's a good question and one that I'm exploring. I'm curious what you think. Why should CEOs even keep people around when AI can do a fairly decent job at customer service, technical support. It can do a fairly good job at writing copy and coding, and it's only going to get better. So why should you keep your job? Cheers. Interesting thoughts for the day. Stay salty.